What we'd like to do in the short time available to us is to look at a number of particular issues. I'd like to start off with a sort of general introduction to what we are talking about, and then Graham is going to look at more detailed ways in which we are working and a little bit about ourselves. And then I'd like to finish off by talking about the apprenticeship framework. And then right at the end, the only bit of advertising we will do, it'll take me 2 minutes to do it, is to tell you about something that we've actually been doing in the National Health Service recently, which works. So send everybody away on a positive note for lunch. We've been working recently with the Institute of Productivity, Mike Dillon and John Heap, who are experts in the field. We've been working on a project with them, which has an international perspective and has involved delivery in India. And we're working on this premise that developing knowledge and skills leads to productivity. And as the theme of this conference is about productivity, we thought that's a good place to start from. Now, for the individual, productivity skills enhance their capability, and that in turn improves employment skills. So productivity and developing productivity has benefits for the individual, but it also has benefits for the organization, because the enhanced performance and the employability skills which are possessed by the individual improve productivity. So it is, hopefully, a win-win situation for all concerned, both the individual employee and the organization. Moving on, I'd like to unpackage a little bit what I've just said. I think it's a given that if an economy is to thrive and develop, employees need to possess and develop a number of different skill sets, which are obtained both through education and experience. On the left-hand side of the slide in front of you sort of gives the levels at which people work through in order to become a person with skills and qualifications, supporting organizations, improving their own self-esteem and well-being, and also leading to productivity and the thriving of the economy. Now, most of the training and most of the opportunities that have been provided are towards skills and qualifications, and those are the sorts of things that are well known and well articulated. But what I want to spend a little bit of time is looking at that sector on the right-hand side of the slide, employability skills. And that's one of the things that we've discovered talking to our colleagues in India. There are literally thousands of people coming through education who've done very well at university and whatever, who have the knowledge, but they lack the employability skills, and that is a particular concern for them that we're working with them on. What are these employability skills? Things like, that are listed there, self-management, including timekeeping, meeting deadlines, self-discipline, working with others, teamwork, improving own learning and performance, business awareness, what's the purpose of the organization and the business that they're working in, customer care, problem solving, communication and literacy, application of number, application of information technology, general work ethic and motivation towards work. And it's our argument that it's those things that I've just mentioned, every much as the knowledge and the technical skills that are important for their development and for the development of productivity. So I'm now going to pass on to Graham to take you through the next part of the presentation.
Hello. Thank you for that, David. I don't know how many people have heard of the phrase employability skills before. To wrap up those skills that everybody needs to do a job to varying degrees. Some of us need better maths than others and better communication skills than others. But the phrase employability skills was originally coined by the CBI in 2007 when it did a major exercise across all sectors to identify these common skills that all employees needed to possess. And that's where this list comes from. And most sectors will identify with the use of employability skills now. Many industries recognise it. What I'm going to do is just to explain a little bit more about who we are and the way that we work with people and organisations. There are about 170 awarding bodies in the UK. If you listen to the 10 o'clock news, they call us exam boards. So the things that we actually do is to certify that somebody can do X, Y, and Z and give them a piece of paper which says they can do X, Y, and Z. So an employer or an education establishment, if somebody's going on to further their education abilities, can look at that piece of paper and say, yes, that is the person, and they can do that, and I have credence in it. So we're one of the top 10 awarding organisations or exam boards in the UK. And we've been around for about 25 years. We've got about 400 qualifications. We certify nearly 750,000 students a year through a large number of centres, working with employers as well as colleges and private training providers. And we're across the UK, so we've got offices dotted all over the place, and we work in Europe, and we are now working in India. So we've got quite a wide spread. You'll see we work in a large number of sectors. That includes health, and that includes health and social care. When I talk about social care, I mean social services in local government. That's an area that I've actually worked in previously. And the types of things that we provide include employability skills, English, maths, IT, personal learning, management development. We are the TUC's training qualification provider. We provide all of the trade union qualifications for not just the TUC, but every trade union in UK and probably in Europe soon. And we provide a lot of apprentice frameworks and apprentice qualifications and vocational skills across a wide range. Now, in doing that, the way that we approach things is we believe is quite innovative, and we invented, we're the organisation that invented something called the QCS, if anybody's ever heard of it, the Qualification Credit Framework. And what we did back in the early 90s was to, working with employers, we came to the view, and I think I found this is transportable across sectors, is that most employers want their employees to learn in bite-sized chunks so that they can release them to do something, to learn something, but that learning can lead to a qualification. So we invented an approach which was called credit-based learning, which meant that one of your employees could go on a training course for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or whatever. They could do something, learn something, apply that in practice, and receive a credit for that, and that could lead up to a full qualification. You'd add up the building blocks. Yes, you've got 6 of those. You've definitely got a degree, and we really pioneered that approach. and in 2000 that was then adopted across the UK as the new approach to qualifying people. So the whole structure of the UK's approach to qualifications was developed by our organisation. We're a charity, and we'd worked with a lot of organisations over the years, and we just felt this was the way forward. It is an approach which many other countries are now wanting to adopt, because many sectors, many employers will say, yes, I can release somebody for a week now and again, rather than have to release them for 6 months or a year or whatever. So quite an innovative approach to helping people develop their skills and receive proper qualifications and recognition for what they've done. The other sort of foundation to the way that we've worked, and why we think as a result our qualifications are well received and well respected, and hence why we're one of the bigger organisations, is our approach is about working with employers. And we've worked with Ambulance Trust, we've worked with a number of employers. So we will understand that industry sector, be that health. We will work with the employer and training providers, and bring with that what funding is available, because sometimes funding is available from the Skills Funding Agency or the Education Funding Trust, or from UK Commission for Employment and Skills. So there's a number of sort of funding routes. So we bring that together with the requirements of the qualifications regulator, Ofqual in the case of England and Wales for the moment, and parts of Northern Ireland. So what we do, we'll sit down with an employer, or maybe even their ultimate client, and the training providers and ourselves, and develop courses and qualifications that fit industry's need, fit the employer's need. And we've been doing that recently in facilities management, security. We've done some of that with health. David will talk about that in a moment. Construction, energy efficiency. So we're not an organisation that likes to sit down in a little room and go, we think this is a good qualification. We like to work with employers directly and ensure that the qualifications and things that we develop for people are worthwhile. It's what they want their workforce to know and have and recognise. So those are two key components to our approach: breaking it down into bite-sized chunks so it's practical for employers, and working with employers and training providers to actually achieve that end. This is a typical team, so a team from our side will work with the employers and the training providers, and we'll work in that team way to develop a qualification, a set of courses that are then deliverable in a definite time and achieve the aims of the employer. So quite a structured approach to working with people. Oops. What we're now going to move on to, having talked about employability skills, which is the skills that everybody needs, the range of skills that we need, and we qualify people in that. Somebody can say, yes, I've got these skills. We can certify that, and the way that we work with people. I think the next practical step now that we want to talk about is about apprenticeships. And I'm going to sort of do this sort of intro to this, and then David will pick up on some more of the detail. There's been, I originate from the construction industry many years ago. I haven't laid bricks for years or poured concrete, but so I can't really say I come from the construction, but I used to when I was a young person. And in some industries, there's been a long history of apprenticeships, yes? It's been well known, yes? In other industries, it's not. And at times, I think over the last few years, certainly in my time when I worked with UK Commission for Employment Skills, people were calling apprenticeships of anything, yes? I think we're now getting more focused. And in my view, having worked in many sectors, apprenticeships are a good thing, yes? They actually give people a blend of practical and theoretical experiences. And provided there's a good apprenticeship, and I don't mean 5 days, bang, here's a certificate, and you can be a brain surgeon. I mean a real proper apprenticeship. I think it's a very useful way of describing it, and because not everybody is academic, yes, people like to understand the workplace context. We're not all professors, yes. Not everybody wants to be professors. Some people do want to be the best porter in the hospital, or the best chef, and all of these things. And therefore, apprenticeships become a good way of formulating in your minds as an employer and the employee a clear understanding of what they can do. I can do this, yes, I'm certified, I've reached this level, I can do it, I know I can do it, be that level 2 or 3 or whatever it is. And therefore apprenticeships are very useful, not just for young people coming through, and I hope as a country we do encourage more and more people to go down apprenticeships route rather than always go to university. And well, not everybody can go to university, but there's been a sort of get everybody to university, or as many as possible, policy, and that size doesn't fit all. So an apprenticeship is very, very worthwhile for large numbers of people. It's flexible, people can learn in chunks, they can work, they can go and do some study, they can do some practical exercises, they can go and work. And that mixture of being able to do things as well as learn means that you get a practical result for the person. You as the employer can start to shape the input into this, and a formal framework for an apprenticeship gives everybody a clear basis for moving forward. The employee knows what they've got to do, you as the employer know what you expect of the employee, and that once they've passed, they've got their knowledge and their technical ability within whichever trade or skill it is that you're looking for. Both sides have got that confidence. The employee has got it and the employer has got it, and it's something that's understandable to everybody and a universal way of working, because we all learn, in truth, by a mixture of theory and a mixture of practical exercises and learning on the job. So it's what an apprenticeship brings together, all of those sorts of components into one place. And it's not just for bricklayers or electricians or the like. An apprenticeship concept can spread right the way across all of the areas. I could argue, and I'm a chartered engineer. As I said, I worked in the construction industry. 3 years at university, 4 years out practical. That's a 7-year apprenticeship, in truth. And you might even say doctors are almost going through that sort of process. We all learn by this mixture of theory, practical experience, and learning on the job. And that sort of approach is applicable right the way across the NHS, yes? So I'd like to hand back to David, who will take you through some more about apprenticeship frameworks and how they work.
As Graham has said, apprenticeships aren't new. They've been around for a long, long time. Although I have to say that in terms of their status in this country, as compared, say, to Germany and other members of the European community, they haven't had the same status. However, it is something that successive governments in the UK of both persuasions have adopted. And so we do now have a formal apprenticeship framework which is aimed to provide an opportunity, hopefully with the same sort of status to it as the German system has for their apprenticeships. What does it consist of? It works at different levels, and I've given you an example there of a couple of the levels, but these are not the only ones. But first and foremost, there's a work-based qualification. This is something that whatever it is, whether it's in health and social care, business, catering, whatever, it is achieved through training and assessment in the workplace, carrying out work-related tasks, and assessed in the workplace. That is complemented by a knowledge-based learning, which again is both of those are mandatory components of the apprenticeship, as are all the things that I'm going to mention. They're mandatory requirements. Now, the knowledge-based qualification provides the underpinning knowledge of the industry, of the sector within which the apprentice is working. Usually there's some sort of test, examination, or other form of assessment associated with that. There are different models of delivery of the knowledge-based learning, some of which is the sort of traditional take the young person out of the workplace and put them through the knowledge-based training. But we've 2 or 3 deliverers who are offering our apprenticeship qualifications who've dovetailed both those components, so the practical bit and the knowledge-based part actually takes place in the workplace and doesn't involve people coming out and taking time away from their work to any great extent. So those are the 2 traditional components. Now we've got what are called functional skills. These are mainly in the areas of communication, application of number, and ICT. This tends to be at whereas, say, the level, if the level of the apprenticeship and the knowledge-based qualification is level 2, that tends to be, these tend to be at the level below that, so they're not all at the same level. If, however, people have undertaken GCSEs A to C, that part is not required. Safety is a mandatory component. Learning about their responsibilities at work with regard to health and safety, so particularly with regard to safe systems of work. In the world of education, we all like our acronyms and are often accused when we're speaking in non-educational environments of using language that isn't accessible to everybody. So if I was to say PLUTS in an educational environment, people would understand what I'm saying, but I've written it all out: personal learning and thinking skills. Now, in many ways, these go back to the employment skills that I was talking about, employability skills, because they relate to them. And their personal learning and thinking skills cover the area of qualities and skills needed for success in the workplace, as in learning and life. And you can see them listed there: independent inquiry, creative thinking, reflective learning, team working, self-management, and effective participation. So in many ways, they are the mechanism for the delivery of the employment skills. I promise you that I would end on a note which might send you away with some thoughts and give you a bit of a success story. So far we've been talking about qualifications. Now, one of the other features of our offer is to accredit programs that have been developed by employers and by organizations. They're not part of the qualification framework, but they are something which have been structured and receive one of our certificates at the end of the period of training. Now, one of our main areas of qualification delivery, a large area, is in security. So if you've got security staff in your organizations that have got either with or without a Security Industry Authority license, it's quite probable that they will have had a training to lead to one of our qualifications. And a year or so ago, a couple of guys Jerry Ellis and Paul Brennan, who work for a company called Stand 2, Specialist Training and Development. They came along to us, and they were one of our security centres delivering security qualification. And they came along and said, we've got an idea. Part of the two or three of the security qualifications have got conflict management in them. Now, they came along and they said, we feel that there are sectors of employment where conflict management would be useful over and above in the security industry. So I said, well, give me an example. And they said, the health service. All of you are in the health service. Physical assault in the health service is something that I guess you talk about. Is anybody here from the ambulance service? I noticed that there were one or two. Well, the example that I can give you, we're working with, in the way that Graham described, with an employer, which in this case was an ambulance service, a major UK ambulance service. They and we developed training in conflict management and resolution, which is now available. First of all, it was direct training. It's now available as an e-learning program. And we have delivered the basic practical training, not the e-learning program, that's very new and only just started. But we have delivered this to at least 3,000 members and employees of a particular ambulance trust in the UK. And interestingly enough, I hadn't put them on a slide, but I can tell you that that particular trust has mapped out over the period of time that this training has been offered the rise or fall of physical assaults in their sector. And I can tell you that they have seen year on, from when the course program started to now, that the number of physical assaults have decreased. And the feeling is, and this is in the words of the Trust, that it's due not to the lowering of the numbers of assaults, but the fact that the staff are skilled in using them and dealing with threats of assault before they turn into actual physical assault. So that's just, in a way, it's a success story from within the NHS context that I can offer you as a thought, and we'd certainly be willing to talk to you about that if you're interested in doing that in your particular area. One of the things we'd also like to do now is, yes, we'll answer any questions, but we would be particularly interested, we've told you quite a bit of information, we would like to know what skill gaps you see existing in your sector, because obviously we would be very interested in looking at that and working with you in developing suitable opportunities. Thank you.
I think we have a roving mic, so if anybody would either like to make any comments on skill gaps that they feel they've got in their organisation, or would like to make a comment generally or ask a question, if you can put your hand up, and Sue at the back will come down with the microphone, and you can make your comment or ask your question. So does anybody want to say anything? So any volunteers? Always difficult, isn't it? The first one. Oh, I don't want to be the first. Oh. So who's going to be the brave person to be the right? We got your hand went up first. Well done. If you could say who you are and where you come from, that would be helpful.
My name's Trish Gerrard. I'm from York Teaching Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust. I'm the work-based learning manager, and I have a whole team that deliver apprenticeships and QCF diplomas across the whole organisation. And we're just about to approach a really scary time with the change of funding for apprenticeships. And I just wondered what your thoughts and feelings are about the 24 plus advanced apprenticeships that will be affected by those changes. I
think we are worries. I think we are concerned because we will perceive that the number of 24 plus apprentices will start to fall. That's I think what we believe. And I'm not sure whether the health service would be able to access this money, but there is a further pot of money which you may be able to get from the UK Commission for Employment and Skills, which has, if I remember the figures right, about 250 million available to it from BIS. And we are actually working with Bridgewater College and Gateshead College, EDF, and some major companies on adult apprenticeships. It's in an industry sector where there's never been apprenticeships before, and they've been fortunate enough to actually gain additional gain funding from that route, yes, but the SFA funding, it's going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult. Yeah, no,
I think the Francis report impacted as well, because Francis report said everybody should have level 3.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's where it hits at level 3.
Yeah.
And certainly from my point of view, it's going to impact dramatically on what advanced apprenticeships we'll be delivering, because we can't afford to deliver them.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. Yet there's and I know the Francis report said that. However, there's many people in industry consider level 2 is adequate. And I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, in many industries, level 2 is more than adequate. But yes, I think the issue is going to be with us for a while. We might get a change in government policy. I mean, if the National Apprenticeship Service keeps looking at falling numbers, then somebody might go, is that to do with funding? Shall we do something? And I think we can only hope that they will. Somebody at some stage will go, well, it isn't going to happen unless we put some money into it. Yes.
I think the functional skills change as well will impact as well.
Yes, it will.
Certainly, I personally have done the numeracy and struggled to do it. So
yes.
It's, one of those things I think again will impact on the advanced apprenticeships.
Yes, no, I don't disagree. I mean, some of the employers we're working with are saying, well, our people are struggling with functional skills compared to trying to get a GCSE. It is quite different demand in terms of maths and English than a GCSE. So, but it is formally part of the apprenticeship framework, and recently Ofqual has written to all of us as awarding organisations confirming it's going to continue for the foreseeable future. So we know we will continue we will offer qualifications in functional skills. There's not many actually awarding bodies that do that, and I think we're the 3rd or 4th largest in functional skills. So the functional skills will continue as part of the apprenticeship framework for forever. Right, I think there was somebody over here. I remember there was a hand came up over in this direction, or yeah, okay, and then there's somebody over here.
Hi, my name's Gordon Smith. I'm actually a volunteer for Epilepsy Action, but I was listening to you, with interest on your apprenticeships. My background is actually electrical, so I served my time as an apprentice, electrician, proved electrician, and I decided to go further on. As I say, I'm not an expert on the NHS, but I do recognise the names SRN and SEN.
Yeah.
Is that the way you're going now?
And I think what will happen is that the concepts behind the apprenticeship framework will start to apply themselves to quite wide range of things. I mean, I was using my own personal example, like you, from the construction industry. Yes, I'm an engineer, so I pour concrete. And I can see people perceiving the things that we might have traditionally said was a professional qualification, be it an accountant, be it nurse, yeah? And I think that those and the concepts that are around the apprenticeship framework will blend together so that it won't be seen necessarily as that different. They might have a different name stuck on the end of it, but the concepts behind it, of this mixture of having knowledge, of having work-based learning, of having theory, I think will be seen as a common basis for everything. Yeah? And that brings us closer to a European model than we've had for a very long time. So I think the anachronisms will still continue, but the way we might perceive how the training and the qualifications are derived start to become more common, I would hope, anyway. I think there was a question, somebody over here.
Thank you. It's been an interesting debate around, sorry, I'm Marianne Hardy from the University of Bradford. An interesting debate around product qualifications and apprenticeship, but I haven't seen the link yet to productivity. What evidence are you providing that qualifications beyond sort of employee responsibilities improve productivity for the individual organisations? We probably should have brought some of John Heap's slides. The sort of evidence that the Institute of Productivity has been pulling together, and it works across a number of sectors, is that by improving employability skills and getting people up to a good level of employability skills as well as work-based learning and the apprenticeships, you're talking about probably increases that could be of 10% in increase in productivity. So skills can have a... I don't disagree with you on the skills thing. I'm just thinking about the organisation, because obviously I work in the higher education sector.
Yeah.
And when I'm working with my students at master's and doctoral level, one of the factors that they bring forwards is the fact that, yes, they get these skills, but the organisations have yet to adapt to use those skills in an effective and productive way. So you're talking about speaking with organisations, it's still in education, it doesn't matter which level we are, still in education, but how are you engaging that organisation to work differently with their staff teams so that when they've got those skills, that they're not just doing same old, that they're actually using them in a much more productive way in order to enhance those productivities, because I think that's where it's really important with education and organisation to work together.
Yes, no, I agree. I mean, as I said, we've got a number of areas where we are working direct with employers and groups of employers and the training providers and ourselves. And one of the facets of that, and in fact we're engaged in an exercise later next week, is a mapping of current skills, mapping of the gaps, mapping of the organisation's way of managing its people, and how all of that blends together, not with the training. So as part of our sort of, it's almost like a consultancy type work, as part of our work and engagement with employers, we are looking at the way that they do actually work with their staff and how they apply these things. So we do that other than through our work with employer programs and working direct with employers. That's the way that we've sort of we've got engaged with that process. Lost it. I think. Are there any more questions? I know we've come to lunchtime, so probably people are hungry now. If there aren't any more, well, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.